Welcome to Trekaholic, another Star Trek podcast. And now, here is your host, Albie. Tonight's guest
is the world famous published author of Quantum Leap novel, Foreknowledge, and I forgot it. The Seeker, the Novella of Truth.
Yes.
I read the book. I love the book. Too. Seeker, the Novella is a Truth, or Truth? How do you pronounce that?
Both.
Both?
Whichever one you wanted to.
Okay,
I always call it a Novella of Truth.
Novella of Truth. That's a good one, and it's available on Amazon paperback and Kindle editions and all that stuff. And we'll talk more about that later, but I'm very happy to have you on, my longtime friend, co-host. We haven't done much hosting together. Usually it's one or the other. Sometimes when we guest on other places.
It's amazing to me because I've been thinking about the amount of times that you and I have been on mic together. Mm-hmm. And I think it's maybe 3.
Yeah, 3, maybe
Even
4.
though I wouldn't be podcasting without you, because you're the one who got me into podcasting. Listening to the Quantum Leap podcast when you were the host was one of the first ones I ever listened to.
I apologize to you and your wife for all the time I sucked out of your life.
No, I did a lot of it while I was walking the dog and stuff. So,
that's nice. Okay.
It's always, there'll always be another podcast. You don't have to apologize.
And of course,
so I'm thrilled now to be talking to you as, wow, like a special guest on an Albie Bird show, and especially Star Trek, because I can always talk about Star Trek.
Yeah. About a week ago, I thought, you know what? It's weird. Like, my favorite thing ever is Star Trek, and I've never really done anything Star Trek. So it seemed like a no-brainer.
Well, if you would, I know that you've had the Trekaholic handle for a while. Mm-hmm. I wasn't aware that it was a podcast. Is this the premiere episode of Trekaholic, another Star Trek podcast?
It is. That's why you're my special guest. And
my goodness.
Yeah, I wanted it to be important. So that's why I got you on it.
I thought you were reviving a podcast that you had done.
The feed was always there, but it was usually, and everybody at home, you can go check out the feed at, you can go to Trekaholic.com and check out the podcast feed. Right now, it's old interviews that I did for the Quantum Leap podcast, but the guests that I had on the Quantum Leap podcast that were Star Trek related, I always had our producers, either Juan or Hayden, try to get those people so I could turn the Quantum Leap conversation over to Star Trek and talk about what I wanted to talk about. Mostly it's like, you're in half of a Quantum Leap episode, but let's talk about Deep Space Nine all day.
It's always fun too.
J.G. Hertzler, that was one where we talked for maybe 2 minutes about Quantum Leap and 2 hours about Star Trek.
Well, Martok was, I think, the role he was born to play.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome. He's done a lot.
And he did one of the relaunch novels too, Left Hand of Destiny.
Mm-hmm. I did not read that. Did you read that?
I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's the last Star Trek book I read.
Okay.
Oh no, I lie. I read David Mack's. It was the trilogy about the Borg, how the Borg were formed. It had Picard. It was more of an all universe novel. It wasn't just like Next Gen, even though I think it was sold as a Next Gen novel, but like everybody was in it.
Oh, really? I read the latest one I read was there was a crossover with 7 of 9 went back to the original series era. I read that. And there's the one based on The Big Goodbye from season 2-ish in the novels.
Can you believe I've never seen The Big Goodbye?
Really? That's like one of my favorites. Oh, let's talk about that. First of all, how did you get into Star Trek? How did you become a Trekkie?
Well, I forgive me for anyone who's heard me talk about this before, because I have on other podcasts, but I finally get to talk to Albie about our Trek fandom, because that's something we don't ever really do. I got into Star Trek when I was a kid in the Bronx. I remember my first memory of Trek was watching something really boring at like my grandmother's house. And I realized now that it was the episode, I think, Bread and Circuses. What was the Nazi episode? With the blonde girl when she betrays them in the cave. You remember that? I think that's Bread and Circuses.
I want to say the baked potato one.
Yeah, and at the end where Uhura says the sun, not the sun.
Yeah, that was the one cringe line in the original series.
But that is my earliest memory of Star Trek and not really liking it. And the other earliest memory is we had the Mego bridge set with all the Mego.
You had that?
Yeah, I had Kirk, Spock, McCoy. I'm sure I had a red shirt, maybe Scotty. I don't know if we had the Klingon. I don't think we did, but it was cool because you could also fit like your Super Friends action figures on there because they were all the same size. So Batman was on the bridge a lot too.
I had the Batman set. I wasn't into Star Trek when the Migos were popular, but I had the wonderful Wizard of Oz set. The whole, like, they had the witch's castle and all the figures and stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah, I wish I had it now. Oh my goodness. But
yeah, I wish I had my bridge set now with the transporter and everything. Yeah, because it unfolded. It was like an accordion.
It was like cardboard covered with clear plastic, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's the same
I'm
thing.
sure it would have fallen apart by now.
Probably.
That's probably why it's probably in the garbage somewhere.
They made a Big Bang episode about that. About the transporter.
Yeah,
it was a different transporter.
That was just the individual. It was just the individual transporter prop, though. It wasn't the one that was on the Mego set.
Just like a different version of it. Same idea, though. Okay,
but it was sort of the same. But to finish the answering the question, I didn't get into Star Trek until I was about, I don't know, 14, 15. They used to play it probably earlier. They used to play it every night on Channel 11 in New York.
WPIX, right?
WPIX, exactly. And you probably, because you were probably in this area at that time. So you knew Channel 11.
11 Alive. Yeah, man.
In the rundown for Channel 11 at night was something at 11, and then the Honeymooners at 11:30, then Star Trek at 12, and Twilight Zone at 1. So we would basically just watch Star Trek and the Twilight Zone every night, and the Honeymooners too. But there was like 8 episodes of the Honeymooners. You've seen them one, you've seen them both.
39.
But,
39.
You know?
Yeah, but they played the same ones over
so
and over
that's
again.
when I really started to get into Star Trek. And I really, on my little black and white TV in my bedroom watching it. My brother liked it too, so we watched it a lot. And then as I became more and more engrossed in it, I started reading the Star Trek novels, because at that point in the 80s, there were really no other Star Trek related materials to look at. We had a movie every couple of years, but that was it. And I didn't read comic books. I didn't even know there were Star Trek comic books. So I just started to read the pocket books, and I still have them all. They're here in my library. As you can see them in my library. I have a shelf on the bottom where I keep all my Star Trek books. There's got to be about 100 of them there.
Do you have a favorite Star Trek novel or a series of novels?
My favorite Star Trek novels. My favorite Star Trek author is easy, Diane Carey. And my second favorite is Diane Duane. So if I had to choose, I love Diane Carey's Dreadnoughts and Battle Stations books, which deal with other characters that are not Kirk and Spock. It's like her own characters set in the Star Trek universe.
Did she write Enterprise, the first adventure, or am I wrong?
No, that was Vonda McIntyre.
Oh, okay.
I believe. And I have that too. I like that one too, but my other favorite, if I had to choose, Diane Duane's The Wounded Sky. I really loved that.
I've never read that. Do you recommend it to read?
Yeah, I would recommend it. Yeah. Okay. Anytime I saw their names on the cover, I would be like, yes, because they would come out once a month or whatever. And I would wait for the new one, and just, lo and behold, there it is. And, we didn't have internet, or I had no way to know what was on the production schedule. So just when it showed up in the bookstore, you were like, cool,
Cool. Star Trek.
Yeah. So that's that. Yeah. And then, the movies, and then the 90s resurgence and all that stuff.
So how old were you when you were watching it and you first got hooked on Star Trek? You were like, what, a kid?
Yeah, kid. I got somewhere between preteen to late teens. I think I started probably around 11 or 12 years old to really watch it, maybe 12 or 13. This is, I hate this question, because in my mind, everything happened when I was 14, even though it didn't. I just always revert to 1984.
Yeah.
So
I have really don't know comprehension of time. Most people I know, I don't have to tell this, but I usually say, if I say a number, a name, a date, and amount of time, it's probably wrong, but it's my best feeling of and recollection of it.
Go.
My favorite probably would be Imzadi, Peter David.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've only read a couple of Peter David ones because he does mainly next gen stuff. And I'm not a huge next gen fan, but I did read Q Squared on my honeymoon.
Q Squared is good.
26 years ago.
Wow. Did you ever listen to the audiobook? That was a pretty good one. I think it was read by John Delancey.
No, I'm not an audiobook fan, as listeners to the 11/22/63 podcast know.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against them. It's just not a way I choose to consume my literature. And I might be a little bit more amenable to that now because I'm such a podcast addict that I listen to them all the time. So I think I would be a little bit better at accepting an audiobook at this point in my in my life.
Very, very similar genres. I think that's what got me into podcasting because I ran out of audiobooks at the time.
Gotcha.
So favorite, real quick, favorite episode from each series.
God,
Ish.
Possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know I have like 10 favorites and it changes all the time, but like,
yeah, exactly. If I had to pick the original series, hi, Penny's here. If I had to pick the original series, just for tonight at this moment, let's say the Doomsday Machine.
Okay. Great.
Because I just love the way William Wyndham overacts in that. It's amazing.
All sweaty and crazy.
Yeah. I don't really have a favorite Next Gen episode because I don't know it that well. Let's say Best of Both Worlds.
Okay.
That's
one or two.
Fire,
or
right?
both.
That's with Jellicoe?
Yes.
That's the one with Jellicoe? Okay, I like that one.
No, Jellicoe is Chain of Command, is it?
Chain of Command. Let's say Chain of Command, though.
Okay.
And that's just at this moment.
Okay.
DS9 is almost impossible because I love DS9.
It's a beautiful show.
Trying to pick with the original series, but you know what? Which is the one I want to say in the cards. Let's say in the cards for now.
Okay.
With the self-stealing stem bolts. And
I still want one. I still want
trying
one.
to get the Willie Mays card.
Yeah.
I really love that episode. I know there are a million great episodes of DS9 and I'm being flippant on that one.
Gotta love Yamik sauce.
Yeah. Yep. And because DS9 had excelled on so many levels, like that was a good humorous episode. The one where Kira confronts the Cardassian war criminal, who turns out he's not the guy at the end. And
is that Duet?
Duet, probably.
Is that right? Deep Space Nine titles. Episode. I'm kind of like iffy on.
Yeah, and Voyager I didn't watch. So what is the Voyager one? I did see an episode that I really, really enjoyed. It was one of the very few Voyager episodes that I saw when it was running that I was like, wow, this is good. It's when it's set in the future. The Voyager had been to a planet and the planet remembered them as almost like conquerors. The Doctor, they remembered as a positronic android.
Is that the one they were doing like a Shakespearean play of the history of Voyager?
No. This was like it's set in a museum.
Was the Doctor part of the museum exhibition?
No, the Doctor, everything was made up.
Okay.
From like bad recollection. Oh,
okay.
Yeah. So, and Voyager is your favorite, right?
I love Voyager. My favorite switches all the time. Of course, it really does. Like I've seen every episode of every series. I don't know how many times, but I love them all. Right now, Voyager, Enterprise, maybe are both my favorites.
Gotcha.
But
I've been drifting back towards Enterprise quite a bit lately. I've been watching late season 3 and all of season 4. I seem to be going back to season 4 quite a bit
because season 4 is great.
Yeah, it's because it's such a good prequel series at that point. So if I had to pick an Enterprise one, let's say Mirror Darkly Part 2.
Okay, those are both good. I like Mirror Darkly. Animated series.
Don't really have one. I remember I watched the entire animated series on Saturday morning when it was first on. I haven't seen them in so long. Jeez. What's the one where Spock mind melts with like an intelligent cloud? Hippy Dippy.
It's a good one. I don't know the title off the top of my head. I used to know all
go
these,
with that one. I just remember some imagery from
he's
that
like,
one.
Talk to me. We are here to help you.
It's better than, it's better than, I don't know. They always had like such bad character design on that show. The aliens always sucked, and the backgrounds were always so cheap. And
yeah, it had a weird, creepy feeling, almost like you got when you were watching Twilight Zone all by yourself, alone, late at night in the dark. It had that same eerie feeling about it, but it was Star Trek.
And didn't they have? Wasn't that more troubles? More troubles was one of the animated.
That's my daughter's favorite.
I'm gonna pick the word the magics of Mengistu.
That's the one with the devil, right? In the center of the galaxy, was it? Or universe?
Magic, yeah.
Huh? In the center of the
devil.
Yeah, in the center of the galaxy or the universe. I'm not sure. Something.
Something like that. It was like Star Trek 5.
What does the devil need with a starship?
Right. So okay. My Joe Trimble Star Trek concordance out. We can go through them. Spin the wheel.
Discovery. Have you seen Discovery?
Yeah, I've seen all of Discovery.
Is there one you can pick out that you like?
I just started doing a season 2 rewatch, and I haven't gotten very far, but I was afraid to rewatch Discovery because I thought the rewatchability factor was going to be pretty limited because Discovery hinges, like most modern Trek, hinges on like mystery box plots. Mm-hmm. So once you know the mystery, then where is the suspense? Mm-hmm. You know, but it's surprisingly more rewatchable than I gave it credit for. If I had to pick a favorite of Discovery, having seen every episode only once, I like Brother. I like the season 2 premiere because I thought Burnham was Sonequa Martin Green was really good in that. And
she's really good.
The one where Pike sees his future on Borat.
Okay, with the time crystals and all that.
Yeah, with the time crystal, and, because that was just such an amazing callback to the original series, and they had all the tie-ins to the cage there, and I think Mina showed up, or
Vina.
Thank you,
Susan Oliver, but not Susan Oliver.
Oh yeah, Susan Oliver was so
goodness, she was beautiful and smart. If you look her up, there's a documentary about her actually.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You should check it out sometime.
Cool.
What else did we? Is there any other series that we forgot about? Short
Picard?
treks, huh? Oh, Picard. Yeah, Picard. What do you think of Picard?
I didn't like it.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't. I enjoyed it. I loved it. But I love all Star Trek. I mean, except for a couple episodes.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not so much. It's just the storytelling style, and the fact that they didn't reveal the main villain until 3 episodes were left, and you had like a 10-episode series where you had episodes that felt like filler. Like you're not doing something right if that's the way your stories are coming across. And some of the writing was just very expository. It was just, yeah.
If you had to pick out like a moment from the 10 series or 10 episodes, series.
The finale when Data dies,
that was heartbreaking.
Yeah, again, I really enjoyed that, and when I don't know her name, who played Soji.
I can't pronounce her name even when I know it. I'm still learning the names of the
we are the
new
worst
cast.
Trekkies on the planet.
When there was like original series of Next Gen, like I knew everything, but then they kept adding more and more and more and more, and I try to know everything. But
there was a scene where she shows up, but like a positronic android version of her, and that's like it's like wow, I thought she was pretty before, but she somehow got so super hot when she was like Data Soji. So hot Data Soji was a good moment Picard for me.
Her costume was like almost back to the 60s look where it was just like draped on sheer fabric.
Yeah. So not good. So bad, but so Picard, I think and actually my favorite moment in Picard is when Seven showed up.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, I just absolutely love that scene.
I wish we weren't spoiled on that. I wish like they didn't promote the hell out of that, and that was just a moment, and boom, Yeah. But and
it was great to see her because I always thought that Seven was such an interesting character that they never let do anything in Voyager. Like even in season 7, the second her character had some sort of like it threatened any kind of growth. They put her back to square one. And it always annoyed me because Jerry Ryan is so talented and she did the best. She did much more, I think, than a lot of people could have done with what they gave her. But at the end of the day, her hands were tied. So it was nice to be able to see her on Picard to actually be a character instead of a drone.
She was, I think, much more well written on Picard than, but I mean, the whole overall arc of her life in Star Trek is pretty good. But she's one of my favorite characters. A lot of people hated her when she first came to Voyager because, they're just bringing her in for her looks and stuff like that. But I don't know. I enjoy her. So, and she's badass in Picard. Okay, what's your favorite episode of Lower Decks?
I don't know if I've seen it yet. What's your favorite episode?
You haven't seen it yet.
I don't know if I've seen my favorite one yet.
Oh, okay. So far, my favorite episode is the pilot. It's pretty good. Second Contact. It's the only one out right now.
So I think by default, my favorite episode is Second Contact. My least favorite episode is Second Contact. The episode I don't really care about is Second Contact. But I mean, I look forward to seeing where this new series progresses to.
Are you ready? Have you seen it before? You've seen the episode, right?
Yeah, I watched it on Thursday morning. We had a big storm here in New York, and all my power was out. But we got our power back, and the first thing I did when we got the power back was put it on. So I was able to watch it. Then I was rewatching it again earlier today.
Oh, right.
But I wanted to I wanted to be fresh. I wanted to be fresh for this recording with you, Albie.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me for this. And it's about a 26 minutes episode, and we're going to be watching it together and just talking about our thoughts while we watch it. And you can watch along at home after the computer puts it on the view screen. Are you ready to watch it with me, Mr.
Let me just wake up my iPad. I got a super tech situation going here. Look, the iPad's like right here. It's propped up on a bunch of books. So,
all right.
Penelope wants to watch with us too.
Yeah, Penelope's always welcome. Do you have a costume for her?
No.
Like the original series
yet.
to make her an alien? No? Okay.
All right.
So,
all right. So
watch along with us. Okay. Watch along with us. After that, we're going to have our final thoughts on it. And we're going to do a little Trek and Tell where we show a little Star Trek object that we have. So stay tuned for that. Okay. So, computer, could you put the episode on view screen, please?
On view screen.
Okay, so that's your cue to start along with us. And if you've seen it before or don't want to watch with us, you can listen along also as we talk about it. First impressions of this episode, Mr. Christopher DeFilippis.
Gotta tell you, wasn't thrilled with it. I wanted it to be funnier, and I felt like some of the situations were forced. And I was thinking, is it because it's just so new, or is it? I think also it has sort of that Rick and Morty pedigree with the creator of Rick and Morty. So I was waiting for just Rick and Morty always blows me away with how funny and intelligent it is.
So you do like Rick and Morty
more? Well, I love Rick and Morty.
Me too. And this wasn't quite it for you.
No, this did not evoke Rick and Morty to me. This evoked like somewhere between like Futurama and
nothing.
I'm not going to say Family Guy because Family Guy sucks. And this didn't suck. By all means, this didn't suck. It just maybe it's going to take me a while to get used to it. And I will say this: watching it again this morning, I laughed more than I did the first time. I think because this usually happens. You tell me, Albie, you're a big Star Trek fan, so excited to see new Star Trek. Whenever I went to see a new movie, I would sit in the theater and I would just obsess with everything that's on the screen, that I would have to go back and see it again so I could actually like sort of settle into it and actually watch it. And I feel like this is, it might be a case of that. So this is the scene. You see she's swinging that bat'leth around.
Now,
and this made me laugh because she's like, honor, I demand honor, I love honor.
What did you think of when you saw the flesh cutting into the flesh? The one time the bat'leth actually did something.
Yeah, right? Until Discovery anyway, right?
Yeah.
Discovery, they had a lot of blood.
I think Worf killed somebody once with one, right?
Right. But, I mean, that made me laugh a lot. And it's funny because I've been watching it now with the subtitles on, which I never do. And when she's swinging the bat'leth around, Boimler is yelling, Worf. Yeah.
So
which I didn't notice when I first watched.
The Enterprise crew seems to be like famous in this universe.
Oh yeah, I mean, but they have a bunch of callbacks towards the end. But now, see, this is the open. Like, this is where I thought the humor was a little bit forced, because you know that the open of every show since I guess Next Gen has to be hero shots of the ship. So they do that here, but they try to subvert it with the ship like hitting an iceberg or
going backwards and all that stuff. Yeah, I like the opening. I like the song. I like the font, the Next Gen font.
Yeah, it's got the Next Gen font, and I like the ship design. I wasn't crazy about the music. The music seemed very blah to me. There's nothing very memorable about it.
To me, it had the feeling of Voyager, Next Gen, Deep Space Nine. Movie credits.
Okay, so she's Orion, I gotta think, right?
Yes, that was confirmed. I've been looking around, so.
Yeah, I mean, what other green aliens are there in Star Trek?
And what's his race called? Oh, you're not a big Next Gen fan.
Yeah, but I remember him. That was Wesley's buddy.
Right. From Coming of Age, I think.
Or maybe.
Where he took the test, and I think he made one other appearance maybe as another character, but they use the same actor, I believe. Hot Banana. This is the first time I laughed my ass off watching this. Because it's like tea, Earl Grey, hot. And that's always said weird, but he's like banana, hot.
You're my orientation liaison.
Yes, welcome. So I think one of the other things is just that Beckett. I love the fact that her name is Beckett.
Yeah, people are speculating that that's a Quantum Leap reference because of Scott Bakula being from Enterprise.
Did they confirm that?
A couple podcasts had talked about that, and one in particular was Seventh Rule podcast, the one with that was originally with Aaron Eisenberg, Nog from Deep Space Nine.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Before he passed. So they were talking about that with Sirach Lofton, Jake Sisko.
Yeah.
What do you think of these uniforms? I love them. To me, it looks like they're denim, maybe, because of the way she's wearing it. You know, those really fancy next-gen denim jackets. How it's like a different color.
I mean, they look like a riff on the old next-gen uniforms, which I'd like to see. And I guess it's good in the way because this is so geeky, but you went from having those smart gray uniforms in the movieverse and Nemesis. This takes place right after Nemesis, supposedly. So now they're back to sort of the next gen style uniform from this TV series, and this dovetails better into the uniforms that we see in Picard later on, I think, which are also very next gen like.
Yes. I think timeline-wise, they would have really been in the like Deep Space Nine Nemesis, you know, the black and gray jumpsuits. Yeah. But I think this, like when anybody flipping through channels, if people do that anymore, I don't know. But like it's immediately identifiable as Star Trek, like Next Generation era.
Yeah, and also you want to have you got a cartoon. You want a colorful cast. You want as much color on the screen. It's almost like the original series, why they had the big giant jelly buttons that did nothing on every main consoles, because this is one of the shows that people could see in color.
And the bright color.
They wanted every freaking color up on that screen that they could get. And I think that's a good edict if you're going to have a cartoon as well, because you want it to be very dynamic looking. This is like Beckett comes off as maybe just a little too loud, too pushy.
Okay.
And when the humor works, it works okay. But I guess
this is not a good tour.
I just was disappointed that I didn't laugh more.
Okay.
And it's not that I dislike any of the characters. I think that maybe I just need to settle into it, like I was saying before. But I like this look. It's funny. I was on an aircraft carrier once, and I took a tour that went from like the bridge where all the officers were to basically the lower decks where all of the ensigns and everything slept. And this is not far from reality. They were just stacked in on these bunks, 3 high, all right next to each other. And the fact that they have them instead of these palatial next-gen quarters that everybody seems to have with, you know, an ensuite bathroom and, you know, a rec room and the billiard table. They're literally sleeping in a hallway, which is much more military and much more true to life.
It's very cool that they're able to show these things that we assumed existed, but we never saw. So that's great.
Because it wasn't a great set to build, I guess.
The sets, the whole like feel of the show is very next gen, and that's probably. If I had to live on one starship, it would be the 1701D. And Next Gen gives me like a really warm feeling inside. And I go, when I watch these repeatability, the repeatability is a very important thing for me. And like I've seen this 6 times already. This is the 7th. Just so I could like enjoy it and absorb it and get to know names, even though I'm still working on, you know, character names and actor names. But there are a couple of famous actors. Dawn Wells, she plays the captain. You might know her from, she's been in everything, Broadway star, but I know her mostly from A Different World. And she's really good. And also Jerry O'Connell. Is in this. So, and the first time I watched it, I try not to get spoiled too much on anything. So the first time I watched it, I didn't even know which one Jerry O'Connell played.
Cartoon butts.
Yeah. What do you think of the nudity? What did you think of the nudity?
It doesn't bother me. I know that they're trying to skew this more adult, and it was sort of innocent nudity. And
not just tops of legs.
Thanks again for your
And I kind of like the fact that they're copping to the fact finally that the holodeck is just a giant sex chamber.
That's, I think, one of the reasons why I'd like to live on the Enterprise D. my holodeck time. I have a list in my head the first time I enter a holodeck. Computer, please create this. And I'll be doing it alone and coming out about 8 hours later spent. But
you and Barkley, right?
Yeah, dude, I would totally be. I think Barkley is me. I'm Barkley. So, I love your shirt, by the way. I have that shirt.
Thank you. I love yours.
Oh, thank you.
My sister Denise bought this shirt for me years ago.
Yeah, it's a comfy shirt too. I think I've had it for probably 10 years. I always wish when after I buy them that I bought 3 of them.
Yeah,
just
well, it's funny because I have a history with Star Trek merch. Mm-hmm. I never really bought it myself, so aside from the books and the Hallmark ornaments. Which people actually started buying me because here's the thing, they knew I was a Trekkie. So no matter what, people would just start buying me, just buy me some kind of Star Trek stuff. And it got to the point where I had so much Star Trek stuff that I didn't want. Mm-hmm. I think it was when my mom came over and literally, I'm like 30 something. And she comes over with a model to put together of the JJ prize of the Kelvin Verse Enterprise. And 5 or 6 Star Trek Pez dispensers in a case. And I said, no more. Please don't buy me any more Star Trek stuff. I don't need it anymore. I don't want it anymore.
I've never said that.
And that lasted a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And
I have 3 of the Pez sets.
Yeah. Oh, do you?
Yeah, Next Gen and 2 original series and they were all gifts.
Yeah, I have TOS. Yeah. But recently a coworker of mine bought me a beautiful mug that is original series Star Trek Where No Man Has Gone Before on one side and the Command Delta on the other side. Mm-hmm. And I love it, and it's my cup at work. And I've put an Enterprise on the back of my Mac because everybody has a Mac. So this one I know at a glance, okay, this one's mine because it's got the Enterprise on it. And one of my other coworkers for my birthday last year bought me Spock socks and
the ones with the ears.
Yep, the ones with the ears.
Awesome.
Yeah, actually, I have 2 pairs of those now because someone else bought me them this year for my birthday. So I've gotten them twice.
People knowing you're a Star Trek fan is good because people buy you Star Trek gifts, but you also get a lot of Star Wars gifts, and you have to say, "Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that."
See, everybody seems to know the difference from me.
Oh,
but what do you think? Let's go.
What did you think of the date storyline in this? Is this maybe the B plot and the main normal storyline is the?
It seems to me like they have 3 plots here.
Yeah.
I think the date storyline's like a C plot just to. Here we go. We got space
zombies. So
we knew we were going to have rage zombies at some point.
Watching this, I was like, oh, there's going to be a lot more cosplay at the conventions when we finally have conventions again. We're going to have Star Trek zombies. We're going to have a guy covered in purple goo with orange overalls on.
Where are you quartered?
I think that this is sort of a C plot for comic relief because they're still dating in the middle of all this crisis and they're still doing their meet cute, which again felt a little forced. But what I liked about this storyline is actually where it ends up and what it shows you about. And I don't remember the character's name, the half cyborg character.
I'm still working on the names too.
Yeah, that's Boimler. Mm-hmm. That's
Beckett.
That's Beckett Mariner. That's Mariner. Tendi is the green one. And I forget who the half cyborg is.
What did you think about that? Where they were having the perfect date, and he was saying everything right, and everything was going right, and she basically started attacking him, and he was nope, I'm gonna nerd about some door lock.
Yeah, that's what I said before. Where I loved where it wound up because they use it as an excuse to show more about his character and what's important to him, and we're skipping to the end, but. In doing that, he seems to get closer to Tendi. Mm-hmm. So maybe they're trying to plant the seeds of a romance there that's a little bit more compatible. What do you think of this alien character design?
This evoked feelings of Futurama and Rick and Morty to me, so I really liked it. It just felt like a perfect combination. Those are the most Rick and Morty
thing about the episode to me of those aliens.
But they can do anything now because animated. So
right, I understand now, but immediately my nerd mind went to how would they portray these aliens because they're here animated. How would
CG.
If you wanted to put them into one of the movies?
Yeah. Oh, and when I saw this, I knew the next JJ movie, if they ever make another one, there's going to be one of those walking through the background, of course.
Yeah, maybe. I guess if Lucas can do it with Ewoks.
What do you think of the spider?
I don't know.
And its mouth? Was that a mouth?
Yeah, it was just spider, It was complication for complication's sake. It's fine. It's fine. I wish I had more to say about it. It's just an alien menace that turns out to be ultimately harmless. So they tried to play that for laughs, and I thought that it was all right.
I liked this because it reminded me of like the episode Lower Decks from Next Gen. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
actually,
one of my
that
favorites.
I think about it, that might be one of my favorite Next Gens too. It was that girl dies at the end of that, right?
Yeah, and it just came out of nowhere, and it was just so different than all the other episodes. And I was like, oh, there are more than 7 people on the starship. So and they probably the Lower Decks people probably go through all kinds of crazy stuff like this all the time. We just don't see it while people are talking and talking and talking on the bridge. So,
well, that's a novel by John Scalzi called Red Shirts. That's a parody of that.
I've seen it. I haven't read it yet.
The bridge crew basically just walks on air, and the grunts just go down and die. And it was a pretty funny book. It was all right. They were going to make a series out of it, and I wonder if CBS put the kibosh on it, or maybe it just never got picked up. Like maybe they didn't think they could do it without getting in trouble.
They're making so many
show
series.
is a blatant Star Trek parody.
Oh,
I mean the book is a blatant Star Trek parody.
Speaking of Star Trek parody, this has the kind of Orville feel also to it, where they're normal humans like from now, like they're not all nerds and proper and boring.
Yeah, and I think that maybe they play with that when they show you the bridge crew. Here are your straight-laced Starfleet professionals. And I think one of the things they could do with Lower Decks, and this is really obvious, but it's to show you a little bit more of, sort of idiots, I guess, because Starfleet is such a meritocracy that everybody's always type A, super type A. And to just inject some humor, I think you have to get off the bridge because you have a certain expectation of a bridge officer where you don't with someone that's just, cleaning out the turbo lift.
If I was on the Enterprise, I would be with these people, and I would be that type of person, because when I worked outside the home, I was always, the one joking around and not paying attention to the rules and, just having fun. What do you think of this? Did it make you feel like First Contact when they're outside of the ship and stuff like that? They seem to be similar spacesuits.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking assimilate this, and the fact that they name drop the monkeys in this
that was
really
good.
Neat.
So they are aware of the 20th century.
Yeah. So. And again, I think that's something that is going to enrage a lot of more straight-laced fans, or as my friend Sean Ray calls them, fanholes.
There seems to be a lot of critics of this series so far, just from one episode, even before it came out. My opinion is people just don't like that it's not made in the 60s or the 90s.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's always a generational thing. I mean, I was very reluctant to embrace Next Gen, and I really didn't even pay attention to it until Generations came out. And I love Generations as a film. I'm one of the few.
That's a great movie.
I think it's also because when I saw it, I had no real expectations about these characters, how they should act, what
really. So you're going in as like a TOS fan, watching Captain Kirk's last movie.
And I'd seen some random episodes of Next Gen, mainly first season. And
this part I laughed a lot. This was very Rick and Morty to me, and I like that about it. So, and this, I don't know, can we say prolapse on here? That's kind of what that looks like.
I mean, it's your podcast. You tell me what we can say. I try to keep it family friendly.
That's medical, right? That's a medical term. But as soon as I saw this, I was like, those two are going to be at a Star Trek Las Vegas next year in that outfit with the purple slime. So,
there you go. Right, exactly.
So maybe.
I love the line there that he gives. Oh, my bones. They hurt. And she's like, don't worry. The doc will shine a light on him.
That was great. That's great.
Medicine in Star Trek.
Because she's not being all technical and, bone knitter and all that stuff. She's going to shine a light on it, which would be most of us, I think, if we were in that situation, right? We would just, I don't know. It seems the most realistic, I know that's weird to say, of any Star Trek series. Like,
well, in the sense that realistic based on how And now you're getting into dicey territory. Is it realistic based on how we would view it? And so it's more realistic for the viewer here, as opposed to someone who's grown up with that technology, knowing pretty much exactly what it does. You wouldn't just say, "Oh, they're going to shine a light on it." That's
true.
I don't know. I
found it funny. It was a very laughable moment.
No, I thought it was funny too. I'm just thinking in universe, like that's the kind of thing that's going to piss like a fan off.
I very rarely get mad at Star Trek. You know, what do they say? The worst Star Trek is still pretty good.
Yeah.
That was funny. Where it was protect this slime instead of protect this man or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
and that's of course very deliberate. Like they don't give a shit about him.
Yeah. What is that like called? Subverting expectations or something? Like you expect the next thing to be this thing, but they do the opposite.
I can tell you all about.
Yeah.
Can you synthesize a cure, doctor?
What do you think about this doctor? I loved it. Old curmudgeon-y cat instead of sexy cat from the other animated series.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. This to me is like, I want to get to know these characters a little bit better, and I wonder how they're going to do, like, balancing out the bridge crew with the ensigns. You know, and
the other thing I like so far about this series, Lower Decks, is for me as a Star Trek fan that loves all Star Trek, usually the like ticking clock, oh my goodness, something has to be, you got to save the day by the end of the episode, never really appealed to me. I never cared that there was a comet crashing into a planet. I never cared that everybody had a virus, because you know they're not going to all die. You know it's going to get resolved in the last few minutes of the episode. So that wasn't the important part to me. The important part of Star Trek is the characters and the relationships. So I think that's why I like this, because it's focusing on that and not the traditional A storyline.
Yeah, and I mean, that's always the best storytelling, focusing on the relationships. I think that's when Next Gen got really good for most of its fans. I think that's why DS9 always excelled, because it was always more of a character study in interpersonal relationships than it was as much. I shouldn't say than it was more than it was as much as it was about, you know, the politics and the ticking clocks and checking the tech and. It had such a great balance of everything.
But the characters were fleshed out, and the side characters became so important.
Oh my God,
as well.
Yeah. I mean, unparalleled, I think, in Trek, as far as I'm concerned, for just a true ensemble show.
It's probably the best written series.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah,
I would agree with that easily. What did you think of this twist? That
I did not see it coming until the admiral and the captain started bickering, and then I was like, "Oh, they're married. Oh, it's their daughter." Like I realized it at the time that they meant me to realize it, like the second before they say it, just so I feel a little bit smart. But I didn't see that coming. I really didn't. I that's another thing. I really like the diversity in this crew. And I didn't really think about it until about halfway through the episode. Like there isn't one token, this kind of person, one token, that kind of person, that it's really made up of a nice blend of who we are as humans. You know? Yeah,
and I mean that's one of the things that the I guess quote fans who are against all new Trek is they think it has a social justice warrior agenda, and it's forcing diversity, shoving diversity down our throats. It's like, how are you even a Star Trek fan?
Yeah, that is my one last trigger. Is I guess would you say conservative Star Trek fans? Like, what are they watching? What 700 episodes of Star Trek did they watch and not get?
So, and I can't stand whenever that comes. This is now the end of the episode. Again, she comes on a little bit too strong. She's screaming at him. She's jumping all over the place. And, you know, I just want the character to be a little bit more grounded so that like these flights are funnier.
Okay.
Like, because now it just seems to me it's like she's just pushy.
I like those type of people, those type of women that are just like, you know, this is what we're gonna do, and I'm basically him. I would just I'm gonna join your thing you're doing, and I'll follow along and join the adventure. You know, so I really like the dynamic of these two. Like if I was on that crew, I would be him, and I would definitely be friends with her. So what? She was a higher rank earlier and got demoted. What do you think happened to her?
Yeah, I think that's a weird thing to do. It is another thing. This actually bothered me because Starfleet is such a meritocracy. No matter who her parents are, whether one be an admiral, another one be a captain, they wouldn't just like bounce her around to a place where they would keep an eye on her. I think that she would have to,
I like this part where they were doing
rise through the ranks or wash out. I don't know.
I like that part where they were just mentioning all kinds of Star Trek stuff.
A whole bunch of name drops at the end. Troy. You knew it was coming.
Yeah.
So we have so much about this season coming up. It's nice to see a Klingon.
Yeah.
And I know there's a time travel episode coming up, so that should be pretty cool.
Oh, you think he came back? Like. You think he came back to get his batleth? Because they said in the beginning, I got it from a Klingon with an eye patch. But I was thinking General Chang
with an eye patch gave it to me.
Martok.
I thought it was Martok.
Martok, yeah. First I thought Martok, and then maybe Chang, because he had that like bolted on eye patch.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So I guess that's the thing.
This looks like the one.
Yeah, but I'm loving this. Looks like it's going to be good, and I'm a fan of adult animation, Rick and Morty, Futurama, American Dad, Family Guy, that kind of stuff. So this for me fits right in, but it's Star Trek, so it makes it even up to a higher level.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm looking forward to the next 10 weeks of just seeing where this can take us, because it does have like an unlimited possibility.
I love the fact that Star Trek isn't taking itself so seriously anymore. Like, I think maybe part of it was Alex Kurtzman, who approved the show, saw the success of the Orville and the feeling of it, because it has the same kind of 90s feeling, but with the 21st century humans in it. What do you think about them?
I wasn't a fan of the Orville.
Really?
I understand why people were.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I watched probably every episode 3 times. To me, it's Star Trek Next Generation, just a different crew.
Yeah. And to me, it's just like all of Seth MacFarlane's bad humor sensibility coming out and marrying it with his absolute adoration of all things Next Gen. And the fact that he cast Penny Johnson in it, I thought was an amazing nod.
Love her.
Like, and he's not even trying to hide.
Oh no. And who else? Marina Sirtis made a cameo in that as well, and a few other Star Trek actors. Robert Picardo's in it. Ethan Phillips, I think. Did he do one? I'm not sure.
I honestly did not watch Orville Beyond. There was an episode where the robot man came in with Mr. Potato Parts on his face. And that's when I said, okay, I'm done. And I turned it off, never to watch it again.
That wraps up the commentary part.
Like the first 6 episodes, right?
That wraps up the commentary part, but we're going to keep going.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
For me, I would really recommend to you the Orville, because it started off as a comedy, but about halfway to the end of season 1, it became Star Trek The Next Generation. Like, they phased out the comedy and just went back to classic 90s Trek, I think. And by the time you get to the end of season 2, that is a great episode, the 2-parter with the time travel, and it's worth. I heard that. I heard good things about season 2. Again, I been turned off to it, and I wasn't going to give it a chance. And when you say that it just turned into Next Gen, like, to me, that's not a very great selling point, because I found a lot of Next Gen to be very boring. Like, I still don't really watch Next Gen. First 2 seasons were boring and hard to get through. But like Orville to me is like season 5, season 6 Next Gen, where they knew what they were doing. They had it down. We as fans knew everything about every character and could enjoy the story and character interaction. But I would recommend it just so you could watch that 2-part time travel episode, but you have to, watch them all to earn it, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. You can't just go right to the fist pump moment,
because then you wouldn't care. So more about this episode. Overall thoughts on Second Contact.
A promising start. Not as funny as I wanted it to be, but I think that it's got great potential, and I look forward to just letting the series unfold and trying to accept it for what it is. I find that, and this is a problem with so many Star Trek fans these days, which I try not to be. You had alluded to it before, that whole nonsense of this is not my Star Trek because it's not like the 90s Trek, or it's not TOS. or whatever. And I think that if I'm coming to it with baggage, that's my baggage.
Right.
The show is the show. So try to watch the show for what it is. And then you're going to maybe enjoy it more because you're not sitting there saying, nope, 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 nope.
Right. That's how I felt about Discovery.
Anything that way, you know?
That's how I felt about Discovery. And I keep trying to let my baggage go when I watch Discovery, you know?
Well, that's interesting. So what about, because you, Mr. I love everything.
I do.
I love it. I love it.
I do.
So what about Discovery set you off?
For me, I enjoy it. I like it. I watch it. While I'm watching it, I enjoy the adventure. I enjoy the characters. I enjoy the stories. I love Tilly. I love Sonequa's amazing in the show. The writing's great. But for me, again, Next Gen and Voyager, Deep Space Nine, and it might have been where I was at the time in my life, but and the baggage I'm bringing to it. But for me, it has a feeling like those series are greater than the sum of their parts. Like the cast just magically works together, especially Next Gen. Like it's just magic, lightning in a bottle. And I feel when I watch Discovery that it's the exact sum of its parts. You know,
I think you're right. And I think that has a lot to do with the style of writing in the sense that, they are so concerned with trying to unfold a mystery that doesn't need to be a mystery, that they sacrifice like character, they sacrifice good drama for bullshit drama, which is just like, oh, what does this mean? And that's what I was talking about with Picard. You had 3 episodes left before you figured out that it was going to be the tech from the future that was going to come and kill us all. What would it have hurt in Picard for them to reveal that as the prologue for the entire series so that you knew who the villain was and what the stakes were? And I've said this before in a lot of places, and I'm just going to say it again here for the benefit of those who might not have heard it. It's just a style of storytelling that ever since J.J. Abrams took over Trek, but it's his style. It's like I said, it's that mystery box style of storytelling where it doesn't really hinge on plot or character. It hinges on reveals and oftentimes needless reveals.
It's very post-Lost television writing.
Yeah. But the thing about Lost, I mean, say what you will about the way it ended, which everybody hated. Yeah. I didn't mind that because to me, Lost was never really about the Hatch or the Dharma Initiative. It became about the characters. It was such an amazing character study that I enjoyed it every week. So if they could do something like that, why does there even have to be a central mystery? I guess it's just because you're in a binge watching age. So you got to get something to get you to the next episode. But
maybe,
the episodic episode. I mean, DS9.
Star Trek fans do like the episodics, I think, more.
I like them both.
Yeah.
But I'd like a mix. Like when I think of 90s Trek, what I think about it, and again, it's all predicated on DS9 because I don't really watch a lot of Voyager, and Next Gen is, hit or miss, but you can do an excellent blend of serialized and standalone. And again, I think DS9, for the most part, did an excellent job of that. Some of their standalone episodes were really dumb. But for the most part, it's always wrapped up in such great stuff. And I'm watching the 5th season now. And there's so much good stuff in the 5th season. Yeah. And it's just like, I forget how good it is because it's been 6 or 7 years since I've actually sat down and done a rewatch of it. So I just want to keep watching because it's just, I like the characters and it's not like I turn it on and, oh no, it's an O'Brien episode. It's like, because I like all the characters,
with Deep Space Nine, I'm like, it's a Bajoran episode. Like, I don't mind Bajoran episodes that focus on Kira, but when it's like, Kai Wynn and all that stuff, I'm like,
I used to hate her when the show was first on, but now I adore her because she is just so bad. She is the worst.
She's a great actress because she made us hate her.
Yeah. Louise Fletcher.
Yep. So
she kind of excels in things like that.
So you're looking forward to the next episode of Lower Decks.
Yeah.
Okay. What about this season of Discovery? They're resetting it again. They're going crazy far in the future. What do you think about that?
I think that they're doing that to appease the fans who just can't buy it as a prequel series, which I can understand. I mean, they had to do a visual reboot. They just had to. There was no choice because you're on a streaming platform in 4K. You can't have plywood sets from the 60s. It just was never going to happen.
Although Star Trek Continues still works. Huh? Star Trek Continues still works.
Yeah.
Have you watched that?
I mean, I watched all of those.
Yeah, those are beautiful.
And I don't mind them. Like, I think it can be done because I was watching Trials and Tribulations, where the DS9 one, where they travel back to
Love that episode.
Tribbles. And I thought the sets held up just fine.
Yeah.
For a modern, but I love the old Enterprise. I love the aesthetic of the original series. So of course I'm going to think that. One thing I didn't like about Discovery was I loved the exterior of the Enterprise, the way they souped it up. That was beautiful. But the interior just left me flat because it's just another hard, shiny star ship.
Very Kelvin timeline kind of.
Yeah, and not even, just very generic. Like none of the deco flourishes that made the original series its own sort of entity survived. I don't think, like, I look around the bridge of the new Disco Enterprise and it's not recognizably the bridge of the Enterprise.
Right. It's a Starfleet bridge, but you don't say Enterprise when you immediately see it. Yeah. I would have liked to see them do the 60s set design. That would have been nice.
I would have, but you know, I'm dyed in the wool TOS fan, so I wouldn't have had a problem with it. I would have been like, squee, you know, like when they did it on Mirror Darkly, when they sort of did it in Relics.
Yeah. And to me, that really, it gave me that feeling of watching TOS again. But again, they're doing it for a new audience and not for old guys like us. And the younger viewers, to get more viewers, I'm sure they want it to look shiny and flashy and new and modern and in the future.
And it looks great.
It does. It's great.
Absolutely great.
It's great.
It's one thing that I can, if I'm going to level any kind of criticism about the visual reboot, is that it's a little bit too busy at times. It's like everything seems to be just a little bit over designed. So,
are you looking forward to the new Pike series?
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah. I thought Ensign Mount was great as Pike, as did everyone. I thought Ethan Peck was really good as beardy, crazy Spock.
Yeah.
When he got the haircut and shaved, I kind of lost something.
Didn't like it? You didn't like that moment when he walked on the Enterprise bridge for the first time and took the science station?
No, I mean, I liked it as a nerd. Okay. Just the look of him, he looked too straight-laced for Pike's Enterprise, because Spock was always a little bit more rangy in the earlier TOS episodes. His hair wasn't always so kempt. He didn't have quite the bowl haircut yet. It was more swept over across his forehead, and he would occasionally let out a smile because Nimoy hadn't really defined the character yet. He was still finding the character, and so were the writers. And some of my favorite Star Trek episodes, I shouldn't say some, my favorite Star Trek episodes are the ones earliest in the production run, before they had all that shit nailed down.
Of the original
before it became
series?
Like Star Trek. You know?
Of the original series, the first.
TOS.
First season.
So I'm talking about where No Man Has Gone Before.
TOS had a great first season.
Yeah. I mean, Charlie X was an amazing episode. That's such a good episode. And just the fact that, you know, even the uniform were a little bit different. It wasn't the red, blue, gold. It was gold, blue, and beige. And I guess they couldn't really differentiate the beige well enough on black and white TVs. Maybe that's why they switched it. But there are episodes like I said, Charlie X, he's walking around in what looks like Gary Mitchell's old shirt.
It probably was.
Without the Delta on it, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I still want one of those
nice to see that stuff.
Those what's that fabric called? It's like a weird fabric.
It's like velour.
Velour, that's it. I still want a velour Star Trek shirt. I don't have one yet. Might have
it's
to make
funny because I was one of the things I noticed on the Trials and Tribulations is that Avery Brooks was probably wearing a girdle of some kind underneath his,
like Kirk did, like Shatner did.
Yeah, you can sort of see where he ends and
like a little
and the
ridge.
girdle begins. Yep. Yeah, there's a definite ridge there, and those were sort of unforgiving uniforms. You know,
are you one of the fans like me that's hoping that as the Pike series goes through, hopefully like a 7-year run, that as they get closer to that time where the Cage takes over that story,
they're already post Cage,
are they?
Yeah,
that's right.
He's already been to Talos and back.
Sorry, where No Man Has Gone Before. When they get to that era, time, that the sets and the uniforms will slowly evolve to look like they did in the original series. So it kind of connects it. Or do you think they're just going to stick with what they got?
So my answer to that is I would love that. Even if it's just approximating TOS, because velour looks like shit no matter if it's in SD or HD.
It's very 60s. Velour and corduroy, right?
They're going back to that, but I don't think they're going to.
Okay.
I would love them to, but I don't think, I don't, they're going to be their own thing, and they're not going to feel the need.
Yeah. And as a viewer, I'm fine with going from the end of the Pike series to the beginning of TOS, and it looks different because it was made, 50 years difference?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and they're saying that there might be, appearances by Kirk or someone playing Kirk, which I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, it'd be fine.
But I've become a lot less precious about my Star Trek over the years. I think the Kelvin timeline sort of broke me of,
I enjoy it. I enjoy Kelvin, but it's like people playing Star Trek more than Star Trek to me.
Oh, and I agree. I'm not a fan of the Kelvin movies by any means, but I learned to let go with them because there are like some high points in them, namely where Kirk defeats a whole alien armada with the Beastie Boys.
That was great.
And I was sitting in the theater saying, okay, how could you not like this?
Yeah, that was like,
get over yourself, Chris.
A very kick-ass moment. The only thing that bumped me about the Kelvin timeline movies was the where they tried to redo Spock's death, but it'd be Kirk that time.
Oh no, that was Into Darkness. That movie is a total dumpster fire. It's so
I think
bad.
If it didn't have that and the Tribble part in it, I think it would have been an okay movie. But that kind of ruined it for me. But I still watch it.
That movie was the 2020 of the Star Trek movie franchise.
How you feeling today? 2020. Oh, I'm sorry, man. Okay. So going back to this episode, which is the first season of Lower Decks Second Contact, what was your favorite part, and what bumped you, what rubbed you the wrong way? Then you were like, but
yeah, we touched on it a little bit. My favorite part was when she's going at him with the batleth saying, I command honor, I love honor, because it's just making fun of Klingons, because I find the Klingon storylines to be almost interminable sometimes because they're just so stuffy.
Yeah.
So the fact that she was sort of riffing on that and making fun of it. I really liked that. And it makes me laugh out loud every time I see it.
That's good. Yeah. I laughed out loud a lot.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I guess what I didn't like is just things that I alluded to before. It just, a lot of the humor seemed a little bit too forced.
Okay.
It seemed like they were trying to do, look, get this. We're making fun of this that you like about Star Trek, or, we're going to make this obvious joke here. And I'm not saying that they won't get better. Every pilot is different from a series, and I see potential, I guess, is what I like most about it. It's like I'm not ready to write it off.
As pilots go, I think it's one of the best, maybe along with Enterprise pilot. Pilots usually aren't so great. You thought Broken Bow was one of the best? For pilots? I don't know. To me, it seemed better than Caretaker. It seemed better than Encounter at Farpoint. Emissary's great. I can watch Emissary over and over again.
I think that Where No Man Has Gone Before is probably the best pilot, but I like Gary, and
Gary Mitchell. He got a mention in this episode.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I guess I'll have to look him up.
You don't have to. When she goes, "I'm your Chadich," or "You're my Chadich," whatever she said, I was like, ah.
What is that from?
One of the stuffy Klingon episodes where Picard is like Worf's lawyer. I think.
Okay.
He's his Chadich.
Gotcha.
I think.
Gotcha.
I might be getting that wrong. It's hard to hold all the everything from all the episodes in my head, concurrently. If we did get anything wrong, feel free to contact us at trekaholicpod@gmail.com, or you can go to trekaholic.com and contact us there. Find out all our links to everything. Okay, as promised earlier in this episode, we are going to do a little thing called Trek and Tell. So I have two things for Trek and Tell, just in case we pick the same thing, because we don't know what each other has. Just something around your house that's Star Trek, and that's not too hard for me, but for some people it might be. What did you bring to Trek and Tell today, Mr. Christopher DeFilippis?
Well, if you guys are watching on the video feed, you see over my shoulder here a couple of my radios and stuff.
Radio sightings
in that corner, right?
Huh?
Right where my finger is.
Okay.
See?
Yes. Huh? By the way,
right there usually is a special guy that always looks over my shoulder. He usually sits there, but I took him down today. And we had mentioned earlier about the Mego Star Trek. This is probably the oldest Star Trek thing I own.
Oh, wow. Is that an original?
That's McCoy, Amigo McCoy.
Wow.
And I love him because his leg always falls off. So every time I pick him up, it's like, whoops.
Wow. Might want to glue him. I don't know. I have a Spock that his torso separates every time I pick him up.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So now one of the stories that I had, and he's even got like blue underwear or black underwear.
Oh, wow. Lead paint and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Couple of things about these. If I can get up close, do you see the mission patch?
Yes.
How it's just like this uniform gray. They had gold foil on these.
Okay.
But for almost every Mego action figure, that foil falls off. It just dries up and falls off.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't know if I've seen one with it on in real life.
And the other thing that I do have, they're somewhere in my parents' attic because I remember having them in a dresser drawer as a kid because I had this. The tricorder and the phaser that came with these. So the tricorder had a loop that you could put on his shoulder, and or he could hold it in his hand. And the phaser, you can see how the hand is designed, so you could stick the phaser in there. And they were these powder blue accessories. And I just have to go up into my parents' attic and find my old dresser because that's where they were, and it hasn't been cleaned out because we just sort of just put it up there when I left the house. So, and they took my room over for something else. So this is what I used to play with as a kid. And that's my Mego McCoy. And I have several other Star Trek things, of course, around the house as we discussed before, but this has got to be one of my favorites.
Very awesome Trek and Tell. For people listening to the audio podcast, you can go to YouTube and see the video, and the links will be in the description. For fans of radio sightings, one of your segments on the Quantum Leap podcast, what is that radio behind you that Spock or that McCoy usually stands by? Yes, that one.
That's a Philco.
Philco?
And I forget the model number, but I found that one locally here on Long Island at a garage sale. And one thing you can't see because the light's not good is those knobs are beautiful, like burgundy.
Oh, really?
Translucent.
Translucent. Yeah, that kind of plastic.
But the thing is, when I got them, they just seemed like all red, so I started cleaning them off, and it turns out they both have these beautiful brass inserts in them. And I would never have known that unless I just started doing the cosmetic restoration. And that's one of the first radios that I restored cosmetically. I still don't do electronic. Like I can do like that little guy right there over my shoulder,
transistor radio.
Westinghouse. Yep. I restored that because all it needed was some capacitors. I mean, that takes 3 seconds.
So you recapped it.
I recapped it. Exactly.
That's awesome.
And now it plays great.
Your love of radios.
Yeah, most of my radios look good, but they don't work very well because I don't know how to do the electronic stuff.
I'm the electronic kind of guy, and then I just try to.
I know you just like you throw Bluetooth speakers.
Yeah, I make them. Usually, I make them Bluetooth. I got a 1929 radio that I can connect to my phone and play stuff. So, that was a very good Trek and Tell. This is my Trek and Tell. This is what I brought. Let's see if you can see this.
Is that Goo Gone? What is that?
It kind of smells and feels like it. It is Star Trek First Contact Captain's Cologne. It came in like a holiday gift set for boys when Star Trek First Contact came out. And it just smells like Dawn dish liquid. But I guess as a kid's cologne, you don't want it to be so strong. It's got like a little bit of a musk in it. And I use it very sparingly, as you can tell. How many years ago did First Contact come out?
Oh, my God. A lot of years ago.
A couple decades, maybe. I think they were saying 18 years since Nemesis. So, but this is my captain's cologne. So anytime I'm going on a first date, I always a little bit here and a little bit here, just in case the woman is a Trekkie. And she goes, "Is that First Contact Captain's Cologne?" Then I know it was meant to be. So that's my Trek and Tell.
Holding out. That will happen one day.
Maybe. I don't know. The only people that seem to share my my love of Star Trek are fellow nerds like myself that happen to be male.
Well, it's a good love to have. Okay. And I, for one, now I'm going to look for the captain's cologne because I want to smell like Albie Burge.
It came with a bar of soap, a circle bar of soap that was wrapped in paper with a sticker on it, and it came with a wallet. I still have the wallet and the soap, but they're not in the case anymore. But every once in a while I'll switch to the wallet, which is funny because it's a small, tiny wallet. It's for kids, so I have to fit all my stuff in there. But I'm just silly. But that was Trek and Tell for the first episode of Trekaholic, another Star Trek podcast. What do you think of the name?
I love it.
Okay, cool. It was originally going to be Trekaholic, another Star Trek podcast, because that's more accurate, but it was too long to make the logo. Okay. Now, what rating out of 10 would you give Second Contact?
I would give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay, that's pretty good. So you liked it?
Yeah, it's higher than I thought, especially upon my first watch. I would have given it like a 3 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I've had time to let it settle with me, and I realized the potential it has.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that there's nothing about it that is a deal breaker for me.
Okay.
So so that brings it just above the halfway mark, because I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes.
Did you have a silly object? The 6 silly objects?
Can we elaborate on that?
Okay, I'll do mine. I'll do mine. My rating for the show, I wanted to give it a 10 just because I loved it so much, but then there's no room for improvement. I'm sure I'm going to love more episodes in the future better than this one. So I'm going to give it 7 bananas hot.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Something related to the episode.
Yes. So, but I gave it a 7 and I would have been a 10 only, but I want to leave room for the future ones to be better. But I absolutely adored this, and I watched it, like I said, 7 times now, and I'll probably watch it again tonight. And I find something new in it every time. I think the 3rd time I realized there was an R2 unit in the background of that whole crate of contraband she took the left out of. I can't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you could see like a little bit of what looked like R2D2's like bottom half of him and his leg.
All right, that kind of annoys me. I don't want to. I don't want to see that.
In the flag or poster in the captain's office where it's like a flag of California, I think. Is that California with a bear and a star? Or is that Alaska?
I'm not really sure.
Anyway, there, one of the things in the painting or the flag looks like the Serenity spaceship, I noticed. There's a lot of little things in there.
Okay.
So you give it a 6.
And I'm sure those are all deliberate nods. I mean,
I'm sure. The R2, obviously, right? So I'm going to
give it 6 beefy naked male gymnasts out of 10.
Okay. Okay, I like it. So overall, I'd say that's a positive review. 6 out of 10 and 7 out of 10. So that's good. Okay. For people who aren't aware of your internet fame, could you please tell everybody where they can find out more about you and follow you and listen to all the cool stuff you do? And
well, thanks to a certain Mr. Albert Mark Burge, I am a host of the Quantum Leap podcast. You can find us on quantumleappodcast.com. That's where I host the show with my beautiful, lovely, talented, and hilarious co-hosts, Matt Dale and Allison Pregler. We are in the early stages of season 5. We just released our Lee Harvey Oswald episode. That means something if you're a leaper. So you can check us out there. Great episode. And
yes, that was very good episode.
We're having a blast doing the Quantum Leap podcast these days. So thank you, Albie, for handing the reins over and giving us an opportunity to really indulge.
I appreciate you picking up the show when I needed you to, and it makes me feel good every time I get to listen to a new episode of the Quantum Leap podcast. So I really appreciate what you, Matt, and Allison do. I call you guys the QLP, the next generation, because it's a different show, but it's awesome and so much better. I think.
I don't know about that. Like I said, your show is what got me into podcasting, and now I'm hosting it. So it's
pretty awesome.
I don't know that it's better because yours was good.
Oh, thank you.
The other place you can find me is at deflipside.com. That's my personal website where I occasionally put up audio pieces about
I love those
geeky stuff.
What would you call those? Audio essays? Something like that?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Radio essays.
It's really good stuff.
And, you find my radio settings and things like that. I really haven't done radio settings in a long time.
I miss them. That's my one complaint about Quantum Leap podcast is there's no more radio settings.
I had to make some hard choices, and I said, what do people care about? What don't people care about? And radio settings were the first thing to go.
I think that's I'm the only person that I know that raves about them.
I don't even rave about it.
Where can people find The Seeker, a novella of truth?
You can find a link for everything on my website at deflipside.com, deflipside.com. You can get it as a paperback, or you can get it as an ebook. People who haven't heard, no audiobook.
Not yet. I'll send you something later. Zoe, actually, our announcer, has recorded the first couple chapters for us. actually.
Of what?
Of your book, Foreknowledge, but not The Seeker yet. So hopefully,
Foreknowledge. I was going to say, okay.
But hopefully the second book that we do will be that. I don't know. It should be a audiobook. It's really good. The elevator pitch for that book, if people haven't heard of it yet.
What, for The Seeker?
Yeah. What's it about?
Oh, it's about a time traveler teaming up with an invisible man to defeat a genie.
All right. It's a great book. I read it myself a few times and I really enjoyed it. So, and I want a sequel. So
I have always meant to write a sequel. Then life takes over. And
do you have a outline for a sequel written down?
No, I just had what I originally saw that novella as being is part of more of a mosaic collection of seeker stories that deal with the characters in that story, but other seekers too. Seekers in the fiction are time travelers. So
it's very unique, and that's hard to do in the pop culture we have going on now, where everything's been done already. But
well, I mean, it's written in a very sort of deliberately obtuse way, and everybody seems to hate it. Thank God you love everything. Everybody hates The Seeker. That should be the website.
No,
for
how
it.
can
Everybody
anybody hate that
Seeker.
book? How can anybody hate that book?
Everybody hates it, but they're too nice to say anything.
Really?
And I appreciate all the good words and all of this sort of, yeah, that was fine. Okay.
Okay. I'm a big fan. I don't know if you can tell I'm a fanboying over Christopher DeFilippis here, but I'm a big fan. And I really appreciate you joining me for the first incarnation like this episode of this incarnation of this show, Trekaholic, another Star Trek podcast. Any,
I'm always happy to talk Star Trek, and I just wish that I was a little bit more coherent on this one. I wish I'd been able to watch the episode a couple more times so I could have formed,
well, you had a hurricane
thoughts for you.
You had a hurricane, right? Was it a hurricane, tropical storm when it got there?
We had a tropical storm. It blew in and blew out in a few hours, but it had like 80-mile-an-hour winds, and it just knocked everything out. It knocked all of Long Island on its ass, and there are people still don't have power. It's like 4 days later.
Well, I'm glad you and Laura and Penelope and your parents are safe.
Everybody's safe.
That's
Everybody's
good.
Okay. No one got hurt. Just, it just sucks living without electricity for days on end.
Is it hot up there right now? What season is it? I don't know. Is it summer? Winter?
It's very hot. It's summer.
It's always hot here. If the air goes out, old people die. So,
yeah. So, thankfully, after the storm, there was a little bit of, there was a little bit of a respite in the heat. So, people without electricity could at least have the windows open and have some kind of moving air. But nobody cares about that. Everybody cares about Star Trek.
Star Trek. Okay, so join us next time for Trekaholic, another Star Trek podcast. Thanks again, Mr. Christopher DeFilippis, and a special thanks to Hayden McQueenie for doing this with me last night for the tech setup, because without him, this wouldn't have got done. So I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you for having me. And I look forward to joining you again on a future episode, perhaps. Hint, hint.
Yes.
Hint.
You're always welcome on anything I do. I'm a big fan. So
great.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Okay. And that'll wrap it up. I'm going to start playing the outro. So that means we got about a minute to fill before it really kicks in. Any final words?
I just think that it is an amazing time to be a Star Trek fan. I know that a lot of the Trekkies seem to do nothing but complain, but
I don't like those people. I really don't.
Yeah, but it's always the way of it. They did it. I did it when Next Gen came out.
I'm guilty of it too. Like I was
people
a kid,
are so much like, this is not what I'm used to. So therefore I must shake my fist, and it's just magnified now because of the internet. But
yeah,
when you think about it, we have 3 series already in production, right? You have Picard, you have Lower Decks, and you have Discovery. You have 2 in the pipeline, 3 in the pipeline, 3 more in the pipeline. You have the Pike show. Section 31 show.
I got to cut you off there for Trekaholic. This is another Star Trek podcast. This is Albie.
Thank you for listening to Trekaholic, another Star Trek podcast. Please support the show by going to patreon.com/Trekaholic. Send written or audio feedback to trekaholicpod@gmail.com. Leave us a voicemail at 305-707-TREK. That's 305-707-8735. And don't worry, no one will pick up. It's only for voicemail. Visit our website at Trekaholic.com for more information. Trekaholic, another Star Trek podcast, is not affiliated in any way with CBS or Paramount. I'm your announcer, Zoe Dean. Trekaholic, Another Star Trek Podcast is a Barren Space production.